Shut up and sit down.
Inside Wisconsin is brought to you by Bay Care Clinic, Cobblestone Creek, the University of Wisconsin-Platteville, Mill Home Supper Club, Festival Foods, Capital Credit Union, and North Star Mohican Casino Resort.
What is up, Wisconsin? From the Inside Wisconsin studios, my name is Trevor Thomas, sporting the Packers baseball jersey, the one and only John Anderson. J.A., we had a hell of a weekend here in Wisconsin, man.
What's up, Wisconsin?
What is up, Wisconsin?
What isn't up in Wisconsin right now, man? I try to stay away from ultimate superlatives. This is the best thing ever because I wasn't around forever, right? And who knows? Like, if there's not a glacier that comes through and makes Lake Michigan, and so I need to go back, like, because that's one of the great things ever. But in terms of like maybe the greatest and I've been alive for in 56 years, that Sunday we had with the Ryder Cup and the Brewers clinching and the Packers just finishing it off with a little CPR finish because, why win easy if you can make people go through, pulmonary resuscitation, let's do it. But that topping it off with the Mason thing, my goodness me. I tell you what, that's more than any state has the right to choose. Look at you. You've been to you went to the merchandise tent. $42.95 for that little baby. Love it.
At least. Yeah. So I definitely,
I don't know.
I picked up a USA hat. I was there for the Ryder Cup on Saturday. This is the one that they wore, so I had to buy that. I got suckered into this. The Ryder Cup championship hat.
Good. Yep. Love it.
So weird to see 2020 on everything that we're doing.
Yeah.
And then you'll love this. It's a little kickball, Johnny, and it's in the shape of a cheese ball with the Ryder Cup logo and Whistling Straits. It looks like a little ball of cheese.
Hold it up again. You know what it looks like? Yeah, it looks like the moon. If the moon
made out of cheese.
If that was gray, right? It looked like you got the little, Sea of Tranquility and the pock marks and the whole thing. I'm just saying, if the moon was made of cheese, would you eat it? Why? Come on, Stoney.
Ugh.
Whatever. But so what are you going to use for what is that? You're going to use that for what exactly?
I'm probably going to put it on the set behind me and just, little Whistling
Otherwise,
action.
I have that cluttering the house and your wife just saying, why is this here under my feet all the time?
I do have two little boys and they will play with this until it's flat.
Yeah,
so that
needs to go in the yard, not behind you.
Fair. Hey, speaking of a weekend, right? Okay, so we talked about the Packers a little bit with this heart attack thing last night. The Ryder Cup, man, I don't know if I'm certain that you've been to some golfing events over the years, but this Ryder Cup thing was unbelievable. It was
crazy, right?
Have you been to a Ryder Cup?
Haven't been to a Ryder Cup, even though we've had them. But I've watched them for way longer than these other guys that ever played in them. By the way, I think that's part of the reason that these guys went out and just dump truck the Europeans is I think most of those guys grew up watching the U.S. get hammered. And I say that's always funny because I always think it's the Ryder Cup, right? It's America's best against Europe's best, but really they all live in Orlando.
I was going to say it's a bunch of Florida dudes.
Or Jupiter, right? It's a bunch of guys that could have, it's like watching the Tavistock Cup or whatever they used to have down there. And listen, tip of the cap for the Europeans when they came out on, was it Wednesday with the Packer gear?
They tried.
Brilliant move. So now we don't have to be mad. Like we can embrace these guys. Like outside of the 19-9, I'm not sure there's a better moment than when those guys came out and were like, here we are. We can play ball with y'all.
I don't know. I think, was it Daniel Berger? Is his name Daniel Berger?
Yeah.
And Justin Thomas, they slammed beers on number one before the afternoon four ball. That was up there too.
Yeah. Right. But you know what? I can do that on a golf course. I can't hit it like they can, but I thought that was such a wonderful, awesome moment. Yeah. I think some of that's a credit to Strick that I think all the European guys, because they play over here enough and that they know him, they like him like everybody else does. I'm not sure if Tom Watson's the captain that happens.
True.
But I think if Steve Stricker is the captain, it does. I do tell people this, since this is inside Wisconsin.
True.
While it's a wonderful golf course, I always tell people that's not what our coastline looks like. Our coastline is rocky and rugged, and there are no beaches on that. Like Michigan got that when the glacier came through, right? It dumped all the sand over there. We got here, glacier, stop, melt, you get all the rocks. If you ever get to go down in Kohler and play, I prefer the river course because I think that's what, and maybe I've said this before, that's what Wisconsin looks like. You go in there on the Sheboygan River in the woods, and like you could go play a round of golf. Or if you knew somebody, right, you could go in a duck blind, or you could go in a tree stand. You could do about anything you want to do that defines Wisconsin on the river course property.
And DJ had a vodka tonic on the 18th green when he was done. Like you said, they got after it right away. Hey, speaking of
how
vodka,
they didn't do old fashions, I don't know, but they should have.
Look at this. Oh, that was a miss, right? They should have had old fashions.
I don't know that they're that experienced in Wisconsin yet.
Our guy today, our guest on Inside Wisconsin today, has his own little vodka. Check this out. I'm holding a bottle, a big bottle. They sell 2 sizes of this at Festival Foods, by the way. I went to see our friends over there at Festival. Yeah. Anyway, this stuff's good. You and LeRoy Butler go back a minute. Tell us about that.
We go back a little bit when he used to work here at ESPN. I always tell people, and because I'm from Green Bay and he's a Packer, that means I have to go introduce myself, right? I just wanted to say hi and welcome. And then I thanked him because Brett gets huge props, as he should. Mm-hmm. Reggie gets huge shot, as he should, because not only was great, but the fact that he came to Green Bay was significant, right, when he could have gone anywhere. Sure. But LeRoy was drafted, was here, and he had 2 really rough seasons, I think, at least 1, maybe 2. But he was here, and he was in charge of that defense every bit as much as of Reggie White. I mean, Reggie was there, just go tackle people and sack them. LeRoy was in charge of, the entire secondary and the whole, even the level in front of him. And so we just struck up a friendship from there. Every week said hello, this, that, and the other thing. And lo and behold, when he got inducted into the Packer Hall of Fame, he called and said, hey, do you have any interest in presenting me to the Hall of Fame, which was just a staggeringly shocking request. I surrendered on the spot, of course, and came home and did that. And it's really, I've had a lot of great things that have happened with my time at ESPN, and I'm really thankful for. But that one was really unique, obviously, because 1265 is pretty close to home, Yeah. But so that was really kind of fun and really neat. And then, get home, my folks were still there. They were able to come see it. And some of my old high school buddies showed up, and LeRoy was there. And gosh, his sweet little girls at the time were so awesome to see his dad. And then he went in with Robert Brooks, of all people, right? Well, that makes sense, right? You got to have both of them with the Leap. So that's kind of just where it is, and we've stayed in contact, and that's how I know LeRoy, because like everybody else, there's a Packer. I'm from Green Bay. I should go say hi to that person, right? That's like an obligation.
You know him, and he knows us. He calls Wisconsin home as we stand here today. Excited to have him, Green Bay Packer legend LeRoy Butler on Inside Wisconsin.
Shut up and sit down.
And here he is, there he is, the one, the only LeRoy Butler. LeRoy, thanks for jumping on with us on Inside Wisconsin.
Oh, it's a pleasure to be on with you, Trevor and John. You guys actually had John on our show. So we've been promoting this. This is a great platform. Why won't you share it with the other millions of people?
We're starting, man. We're getting it out there.
That's the goal.
Is a good show.
We're like you. We're building the brand slowly, little by little.
You're right. Okay, I got you.
Dude, you're more popular 20 years after you retired than when you played, and you were really popular then. Just explain sort of the longevity of how you have decided to make. We'll get to the football stuff in a minute, but how you've decided to take. I've retired in 2001. I got a lot of life ahead of me, and I got the cliche. I've got the cloud of the cachet of being a Packer. Mm-hmm. And I'm in a place in Wisconsin, but I am a Florida guy. Yeah. I need you to figure out how these all combine to go LeRoy Butler, Wisconsinite.
Yeah, that's a good question, John, because I think a lot of people, they don't get it because you're from Jacksonville and everybody wants to be in Florida, but not everybody. The weather's cold in Wisconsin, so which is it? And I remember having a conversation with my mom. Actually, she passed away about almost 5 years ago, and she was talking to me about loyalty and don't forget where you come from and just the overall brand of things. And Coach Bobby Bowden, rest in peace to him. I remember him saying that you represent the team on the front of your jersey, but on the back of your jersey, you represent your family. So it was easy for me to take 2 or 3 pay cuts to stay with the Packers because I always thought the fan base was the best fan base. They really support you in anything you do. So it was easy for me to make that transition. And you're still the same person. You're just not playing games. But this is the best fan base to retire. I mean, they really support everything you do. I mean, they really do. And I really appreciate that. So it was an easy decision for me to basically just move up in Wisconsin. So I think I made a great decision.
The fans make you feel at home, and now this is home to you, LeRoy. You've been in Wisconsin since you played with the Packers. I mean, talk a little bit more in depth about what it is about Wisconsin. From the cookbooks to the dairy farmers of Wisconsin to Wisconsin cheese. I mean, you got your hands in all of it, and we couldn't be more grateful that you chose to call this place home. So what is it about us?
It's just the people. I mean, and me, you, and John were talking off air earlier. They just say, hi, how's it going? Tell you your favorite Packer story, and they're gone.
There are certain guys that find that in Green Bay and in Wisconsin to be suffocating sometimes.
Yes.
How is it that you found that to be a positive? Or to guys that said that to you, like, LeRoy, man, I can't go to the grocery store without these people suggesting what cheese I should get or suggesting, what beverage So how did you turn that or suggest to guys like that actually can be a positive? It doesn't have to be burdensome.
It's a great question. I'm glad you asked it because I think a lot of my former players, they do ask, like, don't you want some privacy? I'm like, well, you got to be fair. If you want to market to the people, then you got to be available for the people. I think it's lame to be a famous person, but you can't give a guy 10 seconds to tell you his famous ice bowl story. I have people in church, and they're like tell 3 people behind the rows, can you pass the word, tell LeRoy I love, the Lambeau Leap. And it's like, the pastor's preaching. It's like, yes, this guy wants to say, can you turn around and acknowledge him? Okay, hi, Bob. You was at the first Lambeau Leap, and it's over. But if I ignore him, it keeps going every Sunday. Every Sunday. Because in his head, he wants to let me know that he was at the first game for the Leap. So I just understand it's like a partnership. And it's a different partner every day.
You were at the first Lambeau Leap game. Raise your hand if anybody else was. Oh,
I was
okay.
10. I was 10.
That's not an excuse, Trevor.
I was cold. All I remember.
It was kids out there with babies.
I was not as cold as Nick Bell, but I was cold.
Because that was 1993. I really didn't know. When I got to the stadium, I'm dead serious. I thought they were going to forfeit the game because it was really cold. But I never heard of wind chill. John, I know you know about wind chill. I'm sure Trevor. I'm from Florida. They said the wind chill maybe 16 below, blah, blah, blah. I said, but these guys are from California. So it'll be a very interesting game.
All right, so take us back to that. I mean, that's almost, not trying to age anybody, almost 30 years ago already.
Yes.
Did you ever think that a little 25-yard scamper for a touchdown after Reggie pitched it to you would turn into this, I mean, a worldwide phenomenon in the Lambeau Leap? What does it mean to you?
Not in my wildest dreams. I'm dead serious. It just, because I'm a defensive back. I mean, and I remember Holmgren saying, whatever happens, if one of you guys get a fumble, interception, don't lateral the ball. Okay? You just run and fall because one of you guys are fumbling because your hands are not real good. Fine. When I called the fumble, I saw Reggie White, and I think he's with Steve Wisniewski, and he was about to fall. I said to myself, he's going to pitch this ball. And if I wouldn't be, I just felt like he was going to do it. As I'm going over there, I get the ball, and I'm so excited. I'm running down the sideline, and then the fans are like wondering, like, what's going on? Why isn't he stopping? And I remember jumping up there and throwing the ball down and jumping up there. And the guy had a beer in his hand. He wasted beer. And they were so excited. And I just remember saying to him, Holmgren said not to do this. So when I ran to the bench, he came over to me. I was like, uh-oh. He's going to like yell at it. He said, never do that again. You're going to get fined. And I just said, that's one of the coolest things is because it has to do with the fans. You need the fans. And then a couple of years later, Robert Brooks did a song about it and wrote called Jump in the Stands. He made it really famous. It blew up and everybody was talking about it. And it was just, now they still do it years later. And it wasn't to show up the Raiders. It was just, a celebration with your fans, really to hug the people with the crappiest seats, really. Everybody wants to be on the 50-yard line, but no one wants to be in the end zone. But now,
everybody,
yeah,
that's where it's at.
They go down. But tell me this, okay? Because I don't. Here's what I'm gonna push back on one little part of the story. I can see you getting yelled at. I can see anybody on defense getting yelled. I can't see anybody yelling at Reggie White for lateral. Like, sometimes I feel like Reggie would have been immune. Like he didn't get yelled at like you got yelled at for that, right? There's no way anybody yells at Reggie.
He didn't go to Reggie. He came right to me. I'm like, I should have said that. Hey, he lateral. Hey, but hey, it's okay. So yeah, that's a good point.
But as you watch this now, guys come in, and it has become. It's like this rite of passage for guys. I liken it to people at our place when people just thought I shammied Chris Berman's car until I was in a SportsCenter commercial. And they're like, oh, you really work there. Like if you're an offensive player there, like you're not really a Packer until you've scored and been in the stands. And that to me, 30 years later is perhaps the most remarkable thing of all.
Probably one of the nicest guys I've ever met, John. Your dad was platinum to me. I love him. Because you have to know what's the fabric of the people who were around when he was a young man and what they thought about the fans owning the team and all the way back to 1919. And when you hear all that, you get goosebumps. And you just think about, I remember a young man came to me and said, my favorite player was Donald Driver. I got these tickets, and it's a long line, but he got to tell me a story. He was Donald Driver, and I get back to my seat, and I have my nachos and my beer, and I got my wife's beer in my mouth. I'm like, that's nasty, but okay, because he got all this stuff, right. And he got to go get the food. And as soon as he sits down, Driver comes through the leap right in his lap, and everything goes flying. He said that was the best day of his life because he's thinking, what are the odds is Donald Driver, my favorite Packer, is going to do the Lambeau leap where I'm sitting in the end zone? He could pick anybody, but as soon as he sits down with all this stuff and it just goes flying, and he got a chance to be on TV because he was up there, patting Driver on the shoulder pad. That means a lot to people, and it's amazing.
That guy's, by the way, real quick, there's no way that guy's ever washed that shirt or that jacket or that hat. Like he is so proud of those stains. That dude will, always, that thing just hangs proudly and will never see a stain stick or a shout out, nothing.
No question.
Is there any point where we go, here's LeRoy Butler, Lambeau leap, and we go, but he also, 4 times first team All-Pro. He won a Super Bowl. I think eventually Canton in the Hall of Fame's coming. And some of that gets drowned out. That we forget how great a player you were because we think Lambeau leap first and all those actual really tangible, really important things come second.
I'm going to tell you what somebody told me, my mom, and she was brilliant. You play the hits. You do, whatever the fans want to hear, I'll play it again. Because you can't lose.
Sure.
Oh, I just wrote this song 3 a.m. I want y'all to hear it. They're like, dude, but can you sing the one that we really like? Okay. I'll put that on the back burner. I don't mind it.
Your mom must have spoken to Chris Berman because every once in a while I go, boom. Do we need the old school references? And he'll literally go, when people see the Eagles, they want to hear Hotel California. I play
That's right. That's right. That's right.
So he's right there. Trevor, what are you tired of me talking again? Have I driven you to drink? What's going on?
No, I just, the word leap means different things to different people. This giant bottle of Leap vodka means something special to me. We're going to talk about that more in a bit. Back with LeRoy Butler on Inside Wisconsin.
Inside Wisconsin is brought to you by Baycare Clinic, Cobblestone Creek, the University of Wisconsin-Platteville, Mill Home Supper Club, Festival Foods, Capital Credit Union, and North Star Mohican Casino Resort.